Was I wrong for feeling hurt by a joke about my late parent? I'm a 22-year-old woman, and I lost my parent unexpectedly about 9 months ago. The death hit me hard, not just because it was sudden, but because our relationship had always been complicated. There were unresolved conversations, lingering emotions, and no real sense of closure. Not being able to say goodbye is something that still weighs on me every single day, and grief has come in waves I never really learned how to prepare for. I'm lucky to have a fairly big circle of friends, some I've known since secondary school and others I met during my studies abroad. Overall, they've been incredibly kind and supportive since everything happened. One friend in particular, whom I met through university, had really stood out during this time. I wouldn't have called her my closest friend, but she consistently checked in on me, reminded me I could lean on her, and even pulled me aside at group gatherings to quietly ask if I was holding up okay. Because of that, I genuinely trusted her intentions and felt safe around her. On my birthday, which I had been dreading for weeks, a few of my friends showed up at my apartment without warning. They brought decorations, snacks, and even a cake. Earlier that morning I had been overwhelmed with sadness, so this surprise completely broke me in a good way. I cried because I felt remembered, loved, and cared for in a moment when I really needed it. For a while, the heaviness lifted, and I actually felt happy. That feeling lasted until we started opening presents. I opened a couple of small gifts first, thanked everyone, and then reached for a large box from that university friend. Everyone seemed excited, which made me smile as I opened it. Inside was a sweatshirt and a coffee mug, both printed with a phrase in big, bold lettering that made a joke about not having a living parent. The words hit me like a punch to the chest. I froze, laughed awkwardly out of shock, then excused myself to another room because I felt like I couldn't breathe. Not long after, I told everyone I wasn't feeling well and ended the night early. As people were leaving, that friend brushed past me and said something like, "It was meant to be funny," in an irritated tone. I barely slept. The next morning, I woke up to messages from a few friends saying she hadn't meant any harm and that I shouldn't take it the wrong way. Then I opened her messages. She had sent multiple long texts explaining that the gift was meant to lighten the mood, that humour was a way of coping, and that I had embarrassed her by reacting the way I did. One message in particular made my stomach drop. She said that by now I should have accepted my parents' death, that being unable to joke about it meant I was holding myself back, and that my grief was starting to damage my friendships. Reading that made me feel sick and ashamed, like my pain had an expiration date I somehow missed. It made me question myself in ways I hadn't before, whether I was being too sensitive, whether I was wrong for not finding humour in something so raw, and whether I was somehow failing at grief. Now I can't stop wondering if I'm actually in the wrong for feeling hurt, or if I'm being unfair for not appreciating a gift that was supposedly meant with good intentions.